Hello and welcome back for another Saturday video. This week we are going to talk about my reading plans for the month of June. My dear friend Allie at Bayering with Freshmen had this idea last year to create rainbow stacks for the month of June as our TBR, and she is doing it again this year and it's phenomenal and I am so excited about it. So that is what I have put together for this month's TBR, is a selection of book covers that are rainbow aesthetically pleasing. This is the stack that I've put together, and usually I have a goal to read at least one adult book off my TBR shelves and one nonfiction book every month. And that's not in this pile this time, and there's a couple of reasons why. It is June. It is the end of the school year. We go all the way until June 25th, and at this point, I am tapped out. So I know that for me to be a successful reader in the month of June, then I need to read things that are going to bring me joy, and often that is much more the case for YA and middle grade books than it is for adult or especially nonfiction. You know my thoughts and feelings on nonfiction. I struggle with it often unless it's something that I am thoroughly engaged in. It can be really challenging for me. And I feel like I've read quite a bit of nonfiction recently, and I've read quite a bit more than normal, I guess, off of my adult TBR. And I just need something that's going to bring me joy to get me through the rest of this very long month. So herein lies some pretty fantastic book titles that I'm going to share with you today the summaries of. Some of them do still fulfill the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompts, so I'll make sure that I mention which ones do and what prompt number that they are fulfilling. But yeah, let's take it away and talk about a rainbow stack of books for the month. First up is my red covered book, and it is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. I am a huge Tiffany D. Jackson fan. I bought this when I first started stockpiling books to read at like the beginning of the pandemic, and I just never got to it. So this seems like a perfect time to read it and clear it from my shelf. I know that the ending of this is going to have some kind of suspenseful twist based on previous reading experiences, but I don't really remember exactly what the summary of this book is, so I'm going to share it with you. Well, the summary is kind of a letdown. It's incredibly intriguing, but there's not a lot of detail, and there's like just a little bit, but just enough to suck you in, and that's what Tiffany D. Jackson is so good at. All it says is, this is the story of how my best friend disappeared, how nobody noticed she was gone except me, and how nobody cared until they found her 1 year later. You already know that that is going to be some incredibly suspenseful kind of book. Like, this is going to keep me on the edge of my seat. This will be a fast read for me, I'm sure. Looking forward to similar upsettingness at the very end of it, for sure. For the orange colored spine, I am planning on reading Far From the Tree. This is by Robin Benway. I know that it is about siblings, and that's all I remember. Oh yeah, okay. It is about siblings who are unaware of each other's existence until one of the siblings gives up her own child for adoption and then feels like she needs to seek out her own biological family. So they must have all been adopted out at some point in time, and they just don't know that each other exists. So as they figure this out, that they're all related, they all start to learn a little bit more about each other's quirks and their likes and their dislikes, and trying to figure out, can they be a family together? You know, it sounds like they've grown up apart forever, for so long, and how are you expected to just automatically trust someone and welcome them into your heart when you've never known them before, you've never grown up with them, you don't have these shared experiences? This feels like pearl. Oh, I have it up here. Oh shoot, I just wrote the numbers. Oh, what they are. BRB. This is actually going to fulfill prompt number 9 for the reading challenge, the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge, which is a book about a family tree, because it it's going to talk about their parents, and it's going to talk about them, and it also talks about one of the siblings, Grace, her child, right? So there is some kind of family tree that's mentioned throughout the book. For my yellow covered book, I'm going to be reading Clean Getaway by Nick Stone. This is actually a middle grade novel, which I've read so many other Nick Stone books, and they have all been lovely. This is what I'm really excited about. Scoob is our protagonist, and his grandmother, his Jima, asks him to take a trip with her across the country, and he does. But all of a sudden, there's a lot of uncertainty. Jima starts changing the license plates. She's taking different routes. So she's obviously running away from something, and Scoob's kind of like, what is going on? Throughout their journey, he realizes that the world has not always been a safe, kind, welcoming place for kids like him, and that things are not always like what they seem like, especially his Jima, right? There's obviously something going on that she wants to keep from him. There's something more to her side of the story that he just doesn't know yet, but these secrets are unveiled. I just love Nick Stone's books, so I know that I'm going to absolutely love this, and it is going to be a fast read because it is some big font, middle grade, with a couple of images throughout. But it'll be really good to read this in a little bit of a faster read to help me keep some pace throughout June. I feel like I'm kind of cheating with this green. It's more like a teal, blue, green. I don't know. I'm calling it green for the sake of I needed a green and I didn't really have anything that was truly green that I wanted to read at this particular time. But the green book cover goes to Sway. This is by Cat Spears. And I was actually influenced by Allie to add this to my wish list. And then Kristen bought it for me as a gift. So this is going to fulfill the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompt number 50, which is a free book. It could be a gift borrowed from the library. And the only reason, I remember talking about this before, the only reason that I put this on my list, besides Allie's recommendation, it was because of the author's biography, which reads, Cat Spears has worked as a bartender, museum director, housekeeper, park ranger, business manager, and painter, in parentheses, not the artistic kind. She holds an MA in anthropology, which has helped to advance her bartending career. She lives in Richmond, Virginia with her husband and 3 freeloading kids. And that author's biography alone, I'm totally sold in here for the book. This is a debut novel, and it is noted that it is hilarious. I would hope it would be, since her biography is hysterical and I love it. But the protagonist is Jesse. He's also known as Sway. He can pretty much get anything that you want. If you want a fake ID, if you want tickets to something, like, he's your man, you go and talk to him. He has few close friends. He sees life as if it's just a business transaction. He's here to make deals, get some stuff done. That's it. End of story. The captain of the football team hires Sway to help him win over the heart of Bridget Smalls, who is one of the girls at their school. So Jesse pretty much becomes like a private investigator, learning all these details about her life, getting to know her really well, and then reporting back to Ken to let him know so that he can use that information to his advantage. He starts to find himself, though, falling in love with Bridget, and he has kind of become friends with her brother, who has cerebral palsy. All of a sudden, he finds himself visiting the nursing home because of Bridget and making friends with some of the old folk there. And he's doing all of these really things that are out of character for him because of this girl. So that makes me question what's going to happen with this like love triangle-esque kind of thing that's going on between him and Ken and Bridget, and both of them competing for her heart essentially at this point. This sounds like it is going to be a riot of a read. It's something super lighthearted and fun, which is exactly what I need to help me get through this final push of the year. For my blue cover book, I'm going to be reading The Edge of Anything by Nora Shalaway Carpenter, and the author actually reached out to me and asked if she could send me a copy of this book. This is all about mental health. I meant to read it in May and I just didn't get to it, but it is something that I think is really important to add to my classroom bookshelf. It may be something too that I'm able to offer up as a book club option for next year. So I really want to read it and get a better feel for the book and the characters to know more about it, to be able to share better with my students. Okay, so the summary of the book describes, there are 2 different characters. There is Len, who is the loner teen photographer who is haunted by her past, and it's left her very terrified that she's losing her mind. And then there's Sage, who is a high school volleyball star, And she's desperate to find a way around her sudden medical disqualification. Both these girls really need college scholarships. They develop an unlikely friendship, and it helps them to begin to face their inner demons that they have. It says, but both girls are keeping secrets that left hidden could really cost them everything, including their lives. And it takes place in Asheville, North Carolina, which is, I don't know that the author knew this, but Asheville is near and dear to my heart. I love it. We used to go camping out that way. My partner proposed not far away from Asheville. Like, we spent the night there the night before he proposed. Like, oh, I had no idea. So this makes it even more intriguing for me, but this seems like it's going to be a little bit more of a dense read, but hopefully a really beautiful read as well. For my violet purple covered book, I'm going to be reading Under the Lavender Moon by Christina May Fong, and this was actually recommended to me by Ashley, whose friend wrote it. She reached out and said that it has very Shadow and Bone-esque kind of vibes to it, and she thought I would be interested in it. So I of course immediately ordered a copy, and it got here, and that's all I really know is that it has like Shadow and Bone-esque vibes. So let's read the summary and find out more. Okay, so there is a 16-year-old, Rilla, I believe her name is, believes she has a calling to become a healer. Her soul wants to help and save lives, so that she has this singing voice that can heal any ailment. But if the palace discovers her power, she'll be selected for an annual showcase where she'll pretty much be in this competition to enter the emperor's harem. And she's like, nope, that's not what I want to do. So she's hiding her power. She doesn't want people to know about it. She is being ridiculed for being worthless and talentless, but she's suppressing her voice because she wants to prove them wrong and be great without having to go through some kind of ridiculous competition. A palace scout coerces Rila's auntie into revealing her power, and she's thrown into the competition against her will. That sucks. The scout threatens to harm her family if she doesn't win, but she learns there is really no winning. The emperor and empress keep girls with magical powers as pets in cages, with some help from a handsome but brooding prince and his mysterious bodyguard. She must outsmart the palace and escape, but if she fails, she'll spend the rest of her life as the royal couple's puppet, using her voice to grant them eternal youth. Wow! Okay, so there's a lot of similarities. I also see some similarities between A Song Below Water, with using the voice as power. But I am intrigued. This is going to fulfill for me prompt number 36, which is a book that has fewer than 1,000 reviews on Amazon or Goodreads. Because at the time that I added it to my list, it had below 1,000. I think it still does. Let's just see. Under the Lavender Moon. 13 on Amazon. Well, at least ratings. I didn't look at reviews, but let's check Goodreads. Moon, not sun. Under the Lavender Moon. Okay, and it only has 35 ratings on Goodreads. So this still qualifies for me for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge, which is great because it was kind of hard to find a book I wanted to read that had under 1,000 reviews. But this is good. This is good. And I'm excited about it. And it's book 1. So I have no idea how many she's going to publish, but I am highly intrigued. I am also going to do a book with a pink cover because this fulfills prompt number 43 for me, which is the book with the prettiest cover. And I love this cover so much with the pinks and the blues. That's usually not a go-to for me, but I love the shadow and I love the little silhouettes on there. So this is 5 Feet Apart by Rachael Lippincott with Mickey Daughtry and Tobias Iconis. And there was some stuff in the front. I got this from a friend. Dear reader, the book you are about to read is a little something different. It's an adaptation of a screenplay that was composed with the desire to raise awareness for cystic fibrosis. It is truly the product of a lot of people's work, from the screenplay writers to the individuals, from the CF community to me clacking away on a computer in Pittsburgh. The story of Will and Stella was built by many people. I hope they find a place in your heart just as they did in mine. Thank you for reading. Oh, that's cute. Is that a sticker signature thing? It must be. Interesting. Well, we may just stick that back in there for now and stick it on. So that told me a little bit about it. I know a little bit about this. I do know that it's a movie, became a movie, is becoming a show, something like that. I don't pay too much attention. The last thing I really paid attention to was Shadow and Bone, and I'm just obsessed. So I would like to read this before it comes out, before I watch it at least. Stella has a health condition with her lungs. She has spent her entire life in and out of the hospital, and to help prevent her from becoming easily ill, she has created this rule that there are no exceptions. She cannot be closer to somebody than 6 feet apart, which unfortunately sounds incredibly familiar, but that's just a COVID problem. There's a boy in the hospital named Will, and in 1 week he turns 18, and his plan is just, there is a boy named Will who is also in the hospital, and he, as soon as he turns 18 next week, he's out, he's done, he's gone. He wants nothing to do with this fancy clinical trial that they have coming for him. Like, he's out, he's had enough. Just let life do what it's gonna do, right? Will is exactly what Stella needs to stay away from, but they can't stay away from each other. It's like a love at first sight, I guess, kind of thing. So would 5 feet apart really be too dangerous for them? I feel like this is one that it's going to get me like The Fault in Our Stars. I think I'm probably going to cry like a baby reading this. We'll see. I really chose it for the cover, but now I'm questioning the lightheartedness of this book and some of the others, but that's okay. The vibes I get from it already tell me that I am probably going to sob. So that's great. I'm really looking forward to this. So that is my June Rainbow TBR stack. I'm really excited about these books. I think that they will keep me motivated enough to keep going through June, to finish out the rest of the school year, to bring everything to a close. But these, I just love this stack. I love looking at how pretty it looks too. That is it. That is all that I have for this Saturday. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching the TBR of the month. If you are reading any similar books, same books, reach out, let me know. I'm trying to be a better buddy reader friend. Hopefully this summer I will kind of get it together a little bit more. And stay tuned next week for another Saturday video. I will see you then.